Washington, D.C. on high alert as it prepares for an unprecedented series of 3 national special security events, the electoral count on J6, Jimmy Carter State funeral on 11th, which, by the way, it's a whole week thing, starts from, I believe, the 4th to the 11th, but the main days are the 9th, and that Biden's going to be at and Trump's going to be at, and then there's stuff at 11th as well. Trump's inauguration on January 20th, but there's also a Trump event called the Victory Parade Route, I'm thinking is on the 19th.
The Victory Rally is on the 19th.
The Victory Rally on the 19th is a day before Inauguration Day in D.C., and this has caused Secret Service official Matt McCool, who said that has never happened before, this many events. The electoral certification is designated a special security event for the first time, unlocking federal funds and resources. D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith confirmed that all city officers will be on duty, supplemented by 4,000 officers, 500 National Guard troops, with additional requests pending for the inauguration. Major protests are anticipated, including the People's March of January 18th at a large anti-Trump protest on Inauguration Day, and the annual March for Life on January 24th. Smith stated, "We are committed to upholding the right to peacefully assemble and protest. We will not tolerate any violence, rioting, destruction of property, or any behavior that threatens the safety of security of our city." Rob, can you pull up the video I sent you last night of Dan Bongino, former Secret Service agent who worked under, I believe, Obama. Did he work under, he was Obama and Bush's, I believe. If you can go to the second 30 seconds, right there, if you can start it from right there, here's what he had to say in regards to the inauguration, and I'll give you my thoughts on what happened yesterday. Go for it.
I'll show you what I mean in a second. Another thing I've been telling you about, the inauguration's coming up. We're 2 weeks away. Sure. Folks, I'm really hesitant to talk about this, but I feel an obligation to put it out there because I don't have any other avenue to do it other than you guys in the Bongino Army. I don't think the Secret Service is prepared. And I think the Secret Service, along with the FBI, are lying to this transition team. This transition team knows it. And unfortunately, there's nothing they can do until they formally take power in 2 weeks. But when they take power in 2 weeks, Donald Trump is going to be sitting there exposed at the inauguration.
So here's not just anybody. Dan Bongino was a police officer, New York City police officer. And then after that, he went and served as a U.S. Secret Service agent from 1999 to 2011. So think about, during 01, 9/11, he was there. So you got, I believe, Clinton, Bush, and Obama, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he was Clinton. I think it's Bush and Obama, okay? So he's there during that time saying something like this. Well, this past weekend, Sean Ryan's podcast happens. The drone event happens. On December 19th, we have a John Ferguson that comes on. If you remember John Ferguson that we had on, he was a fellow that came up talking about drones. He runs a drone company, and he says, look, I'm not quite sure what's going on with these drones, but my guesstimation is there are some missing nuclear weapons, and maybe these drones in Jersey and New York that are following through Bedminster, maybe there's more motives there. Well, that gets the attention of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan retweets the video. This video gets a lot of views. We have him on. He gets on here. That gets a lot of views. He's all over the news talking about this, and he's just saying, I'm just a drone guy that's been in the business. He's been in 80-plus countries, worked with a couple different heads of states in different countries in the Middle East. I get a call from him, and we start talking on Saturday. And he says, there's something I want to share with you. Remember when I told you the source and all this other stuff? I said, yes. He says, well, here's what has come to us. This is the guy that saw the nuclear weapon in Eastern Europe, and he doesn't want to give his name, but I want you to talk to him. All right. So it's Saturday. I'm driving back with the kids, and then I get home. We do another call with him and another fellow, and then at night, Rob, I don't know what time the Zoom was at night. I want to say 9:30.
9:30 to 10:30.
Cincinnati was playing, yeah. 9:30 to 10:30. So Dylan's on the other side watching the game. We're on there for an hour talking to this source. I don't have a name. His name was John Brown. And there is, I don't see a face. The only thing I see is the audio. And he's saying, look, yeah, I made a prediction that this was going to happen and that's going to happen and this is going to happen, and all of that stuff came true on the assassination attempt. Something's going on, and they're trying to have an attack on January 9th the 19th or the 20th. 9th is the Carter funeral that Trump said he's going to be there. 19th is whatever the victory parade. And then the 20th is this. I said, stop it. I said, who are you? Well, I can't give you mine. I said, you lose credibility if you don't do that. And we talked for an hour. I'm like, look, just sleep on it. We get stories like this all the time. I'm not interested, but, we'll talk to some of the people that we know. And it sounds like some of the people already know. I said, well, no, I'm telling you, you got to see this. So I'm like, look, it's good. We're good. Don't worry about it. Conversation ends. Next day, Tony calls me and he says, he's on a flight. He's in Florida. I said, what? He's already on his way to Florida. I said, you got to be kidding me. He says, no. Okay. So flights booked, on his way to Florida. Yesterday is Monday. All day, my Mondays, Tom, you know my Mondays. My Mondays, I don't have a minute break on Monday. Like my first breathing that I get is around 6 o'clock. I go, and I not even lunch. I'm just, boom, 6 o'clock, right? So eventually it comes that he is downstairs in the office. I can't give you the name of this person. He comes into the office. We sit down. We start talking. And he's telling me all these things. I'm telling you, why would I lie to you? I said, why would you lie to me? I don't know your name. I don't know who you are. I don't know the credibility. I don't know any of this stuff. Anyways, long story short, after 2 hours of talking to me, he is, just think about an Eastern European man. And he starts showing me things on his computer, very disturbing, some of the stuff he showed me. And then I said, look, finally, it was at a point, the whole team is waiting to see if we're going to do anything or not. I said, look, here's what it's come down to. If you don't tell me your name, I have to wrap this up. My kids are going to school the next day. It's their first day back from holidays. We got to wrap it up. So he's getting very uncomfortable at this time. So finally he makes a couple phone calls, and he says, here's my name. And he shows me his ID. I think that's when you walked in, right? When you walked in and you saw him, give me the ID. I look up the name. I'm like, so I go online. I'm like, interviews with him from 15 years ago on YouTube, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 3 years ago, having nothing to do with politics, all to do with technology and engineering and chips. That's the business he's in. Nothing to do with that. So then I'm like, so finally I said, okay. And I noticed something that he got an award, which I don't want to be too specific because if I tell you the award,
you'll know.
Yeah. So all this stuff is documented. Okay. So I said, if we do this, I don't recommend you do this, but I'm going to talk about somebody I met without giving any intel. I'll talk about it tomorrow. And he's getting more and more nervous. I said, if we do it, we'll cover the face, do the audio. Well, I don't want to do audio. Let's have me, tell John, and then John tells you. I said, I'm not going to compromise our reputation, what we have with the podcast. People trust us when we talk. They want to listen to them, and I want to vet it. I recommend you not do it. At this point, Rob's in the room. Rob, you're in the room. I think it's me, you, and him, and another one of our guys that's in the room as well. And I said to him, don't do the interview, fly back home. You were there when I specifically said
Correct.
that to him, right? Okay. I said, if we do it, we have to do it in this following way. That took around how long?
About the entire conversation?
The entire conversation. This is after 2.5 hours of me being with him, then you come in.
45 minutes.
About 45 minutes. 45 minutes later, he's extremely uncomfortable. I got to use the bathroom. I got to use the bathroom. Okay, great. Boom, boom, boom. We get on the golf cart. We go to the other building to start the interview. At this point, I want to say, I remembered when we started the interview, it was 8:41. So when we started, the start time was 8:41, and we ended at like 9:30 or something like that. And then, he was here. We had to order food because nobody had eaten anything for hours, and our production team was waiting. Anyways, by the time it was done with the interview, he says, I have sources that I'm confident something's about to happen. The last 3 predictions he got right. He's confident that something's going to happen on the 9th, the 19th, and the 20th. They don't want this man to take office. Now, I'm in the business of sizing people up, and when you're in sales and you have compliance, people try to take advantage of clients and insurance and stuff like that. You have to know who's full of it and who's not, and sometimes you have to make tough decisions of working with the Department of Insurance and regulation, all this stuff. Anyways, so finally I'm like, while we're going through it, super nervous. At the end, Rob, it's only me, you, and him in the room. What happened to him at the end of the conversation?
He got very emotional towards the end, tears.
Emotional in a hysterical way, emotional in a way that he didn't want you to know that he got emotional.
Like he was holding back the tears, but he couldn't hold them back any longer.
Yeah. So this is a family man. This is not a guy that's single that has nothing to lose. He has a lot to lose. Sizable business that he's the CEO of, does very well for himself. And so for me, when I see things like this and somebody like this comes up, I'm extremely skeptical. But I'm not one that would sit there and say, well, why not talk about this? Because with all the stuff that's going on right now, who knows? The right person watches this and they may increase security. I don't know if you remember when we were in Hamptons and we did that one podcast when he was giving the RNC speech at like 12:30, we're sitting there listening to this. Do you remember that one right after Eric Trump
Eric
was
Trump
talking?
went on,
We're up. And I'm asking the question, I'm like, how do you not have the glass for AV to protect against it and all this other stuff? For AV can spend a little bit more money to put the glass to protect you and all this. So look, if this causes a little bit more, because sometimes you can be overly confident, everything is good, all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden, you make one mistake, you put your guard down, and then you're done. And I hear Dan Bongino saying Secret Service is still not his Secret Service, and you hear Trump defending a lot of the Secret Service that know him and they're protective of him, all this other stuff. All I'm saying is there's 3 big events that's coming up. And if this guy comes in here, by the time it was done, every one of us started off skeptical. If the interview goes out, you'll be able to hear it and make your own decision on it, if it does go out or not. At this point, high likelihood it's not going out. 80% is not going out, where I'm just kind of sharing this with you, and whatever people want to do with this information, they'll do what they want to do with it. But there definitely is a little bit of a different, and by the way, even Blinken the other day said that China, Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine, they increased the chances of a nuclear weapon being used from 5 to 15%. Did you see that last week?
Yep.
Did you guys see that last week?
Which is a huge jump when it comes to nukes.
What do you mean 5 to 15%? I mean, 5 to 15%. 5% is 1 out of 20. 15% is 1 out of 7. Is that what? No, Rob, if you just type in Blinken, 5%, 15% nuclear on Google, it'll come up. But it's a story that's a different kind of a story. Blinken, 5 to 15% nuclear. You'll see a story that'll come up. This just came out this week. Is that it right there? We have reason to believe that China engaged Russia and said, don't go there. Blinken told the outlet, adding, even if there's probability, if the probability went from 5 to 15% when it comes on nuclear weapons, nothing is more serious. The Secretary of State also noted that China likely stepped in to persuade Putin not to launch a nuclear weapon into space. Tensions were raised further into November, where Putin lowered the threshold for nuclear strike after. Anyways, so all this stuff is going on at the same time. Tom, how worried are you yourself during this specific season? Because we've been saying January 20th can't come fast enough. How concerned are you?
Well, right now, my concern is around transition of power, and that there are people with desire and means to interrupt that. But I sit there and I look at it, and you really, if you think about it logically, if a crazy act, incapacitates or assassinates Trump, J.D. Vance is the VP-elect. And so I worry about disrupting the transition of power, but I don't believe that a single act can interrupt, the elected will of the people. You have to go like 5 steps on the other side. Oh, okay, well, you're gone, so guess what? Biden's still going to be president. He's going to resign. Kamala's president. No. I worry about the interruption from third-party actors, because I don't worry about the transition of power. I worry about the orderly transition of power, if that makes sense. That's what I worry about. Is it going to be orderly? Because I believe the will of the people are done, And if you do something and you just flip the switch the other way and say, okay, now we're going to have this different government and stuff because we did this, America's going to go berserk. America, look at the will of the people and the number of the people who came out and voted, and look how things have shifted. Look how close New York and California and New Jersey was very close. The will of the people is spoken. If you attempt to put a different leadership in place, this country is going to go berserk. And so I worry about disruptions to the transition, but I don't worry about like the ultimate will of the people. We've elected and we've made a choice, and they would have to fundamentally go to a completely dark and different place and then exert control on us. It's the whole martial law scenario.
Yeah, I asked him, I said, who was behind this? He gave me a name privately on who he said was behind it. And when we were on here, he didn't give the name. When we had him on here, I said, but who was behind us? Is it a Republican? Is it a Democrat? He says, no, this is not about a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is about a globalist and a nationalist. I said, tell me more. He says, what is Viktor Orban? Is he a globalist or nationalist? I said, he's a nationalist. He says, they don't like nationalists. These are people that want a globalist, control.
Yep.
They don't want the nationalist control. And so how about you, Vinny? When you're hearing stories like this? Yeah, no, I mean, at this point.
We call it establishment, but I think establishment in the U.S., the U.S. establishment is like 60% globalist.
Well, I think there is Republican, Democrat, there's conservative, liberal, there's establishment, anti-establishment, there's globalist, there's nationalist. I think there's a lot of those that's going on right now that we're kind of going through. But your thoughts with...
Well, in regard to the security, Pat, why in God's earth would Trump trust an outdoor inauguration with the security run by the same people who have been trying to destroy him for all these years? The Secret Service, the FBI, zero trust. They have dropped the ball how many times? And their trust is at an all-time low, right? And that time, I don't think it's about, tradition, especially with that inauguration. It's about safety, okay? And when let's think about it. Let's take a step back. If God forbid something happens, what happens? You're saying like the people will go crazy. I think these type of globalists, they think so far ahead, Pat, that if something happens to him and we blame Russia did it, or we blame, the Iran. I think at the end of the day, America hasn't been at war since when? The major one. I mean, we left in 2021, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. But I mean, when we went to Iraq, Tom, with all we saw.
So you're not counting proxies.
I'm not talking. No, yeah, exactly. No proxies, major war. I think those globalists, the deep state, whoever you want to call them, they're dying for a war, okay? And our friend, Alejandro Mayorkas, I brought this up. Let's say 20 million people have come into the country, right? They said, Thomas Holman, 2 million getaways. Not arrested. I hate the word getaways. They just walked in. There's 2 million people in the United States, that's a lower number, that are roaming around the country. And then Thomas Holman said this, the number of people that were arrested that are on the terror watch list in the past 4 years, guess how much the percentage has gone up from Thomas Holman? 3,500% of terrorists on the known watch list have been caught here, okay? So, and then we hear reports that the surface-to-air missiles have come over. Now we're hearing that there's a tactical nuke that's just roaming around. I think the bigger picture is, first of all, if I was him, I'd be like, guys, you know what? We're going to have a ceremony, but this whole outdoor whatever, no, because I don't trust these people. Because what happened when he got shot by Thomas Crooks? Kim Cheadle stepped down, and that was the end of it. All right, who else is in trouble? She just gets fired, Tom, and that's it. God forbid he got his head blown off. We'd be in the same place. She'd be fired, and then America would be in shambles.
After being called before Congress to testify, and many people were saying that they doubted her testimony and they believed that she had allegedly been dishonest on 4 key points. Yeah. And so it's like, so you haul her in front of Congress. She's allegedly.
I want to show this. By the way, all this stuff going on. Here's a former CIA agent that I believe went on the Sean Ryan podcast. Sarah Adams warns 1,000 Al-Qaeda fighters in U.S. for homeland attack. Go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
Why do we care about Israel? Why is that our problem? It's like, that's just the first in a series that's coming for us. That's like the test run.
The casualty count will be between 50 and 60,000 Americans dead. Am I wrong on that?
So I don't know the count that they're predicting. What I do know is Al-Qaeda trained and sent 1,000 attackers.
1,000 attackers. When did they come through?
So they finished training and they deployed them. Now, depending on how they come through, it could take different times, right?
So wait a minute. I just want to clarify. You are 100% certain that there are 1,000 plus Al-Qaeda trained fighters within the United States borders?
Well, Al-Qaeda says they trained and deployed 1,000 for this attack. First off, I think there's more than 1,000 Al-Qaeda members in the United States.
Weird.
But for the Homeland attack, that number is based on what Al-Qaeda is saying, so they could exaggerate it. However, they did have about 1,400 in the Hamas attack, so the number is not off from what they did in the first round of
And
attacks.
just to piggyback on this interview, and she said it, and I looked it up, and it's true. These terrorists now have undetectable bombs, that you suicide vests that you could walk into an airport, walk into screening, and nothing comes up. Okay, zero. That the dogs, the canine sniffing bomb dogs, they're not trained on even sniffing for this type of thing. So that's why when I've been saying for how long, Pat, that this open border situation has been the number one problem, and they did it on purpose because now to get Trump out, that's the goal. That's been the goal. Trump has been the problem since 2016. He's still a problem right now. They have to stop him, and even if the 20th comes and God willing, nothing happens, he's still the enemy. He doesn't want war. Their machine is war. You've said this many times. If you're a big pharma, Pat, and you want to sell drugs, you need sick people. The military-industrial complex, their business is war. Building the tanks, getting the bullets, getting the airplanes, getting all the equipment. If we're not using them, those guys they're losing money. We need a war, and I think that's what it comes down to.
I want to go to Adam, and then right after Adam, I want to share with you the story from Politico saying the incredible world-altering black swan events that could happen in 2025. But before I go there, Adam, your thoughts on the story?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, so let me just go one by one real quick. Number one, welcome to daily life in Israel. Hello. The thought of 1,000 Al-Qaeda terrorists or Hamas terrorists or Hezbollah terrorists or a Houthi terrorist or Shiite terrorists just crossing your border and trying to blow things up, that is every single
But wait, are they letting thousands of people? No, you can't shush me. You can't say that and say
Benny,
they're just letting people in. Israel doesn't have an open border policy.
Benny,
You cannot, you cannot say that this is Israel. Israel has a dope border that they don't let nobody come in. We let them in
Benny,
on purpose.
Take down the caffeine.
No,
for a second.
I
Let
don't
me
take
make my-
caffeine. You
let me
can't
make-
compare the two. Well, this is not an Israel thing, Adam. We have an open border on purpose because the deep state wants to kill our president. Is
But
that
let
the
me,
problem?
let me see what point he's making.
No, Vinny, go. It's all
No,
good.
I actually
because
want to
it's
know
all
where
you.
you're
Yeah.
going. Let's see
Yeah.
where you're
The
going.
point is
so
this.
is a regular day in Israel. Continue.
Yeah, this is a regular freaking day in Israel, Vinny. Every day the Mossad wakes up or the IDF wakes up and says, we have 1,000 terrorists, if not more, that are trying to kill all our people. So we're getting a little glimpse of what they deal with, not just in Israel, in any normal civilized country that is dealing with terrorists. By the way, do you know who gets killed by terrorists more than anybody? Muslims. So this isn't a Jewish thing, an American thing, or a Christian thing. This is a barbaric thing that reasonable countries, democratic countries, free countries have to deal with. The difference is we have two massive defense mechanisms called the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean that prevent this kind of stuff. But the open borders here in America, yep, it is a massive problem. So all I'm saying, before you so kindly interrupted, was this is a major concern. And why do you think that the Mossad and the CIA work so closely together for one word, intelligence, national security? Hey guys, this is what's going on. Well, here's what we found. Here's what we got going on. Is anybody shocked to see that terrorists might be in the country or in Canada? How many times do we see them burning the American flag?
But where
Death to
are
America.
you going, bro?
Where am I going?
Are you
with it?
going?
Well, I was going somewhere until one of our
get
friends
there. Yeah,
interrupted.
let's get there.
The point is this. You know how they say only the paranoid survive,
Yeah.
but also the future looks bright?
Sure.
What do you always say, that it's 51-49?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm sort of the flip side. 51-49, future looks bright. This going back to Trump. So if I'm Trump, I'm thinking, Vinny said that he doesn't think that he should show up to inauguration. Totally disagree. What kind of show of weakness would it be not to show up to your inauguration? I think Trump has the biggest balls in politics. I think he has the
till he gets
greatest
shot.
comeback.
Till he gets murdered.
So, Vinny, have some balls. Relax.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
he has the
dumbass
biggest ball.
point of view.
Vinny, for the last time, let me talk, and then you can go and rant. I think Trump is going to show up to inauguration because that's what he does. They told him, hey, don't go play golf because you might get shot. Did he go play golf? You bet you did. They said, hey, listen, next time you go give a speech, be in that enclosed glass that we recommend that you do. And what happened the first time? A lady passed out, gets out of the glass, and gives her some water. So Trump is gonna Trump. That's what we know. Now, the biggest question I have is the Secret Service taking notice to something like Dan Bongino says? Is the Secret Service taking notice to these threats that are apparently out there? I think they will. I think they should. And I think they need to be ready for anything. But I do think Trump is going to show up in Inauguration Day, get sworn in, and make America great again.
Okay.
Boom.
So, look, regardless of what happens here, I think there's a couple things to be thinking about. While we're driving and this conversation is taking place, Dylan and Tico overhear the conversation about a possible attack on Inauguration. And they know that we have plans of being there, okay? So all of a sudden I hear an exchange between these two guys going back and forth. One is saying, no, we shouldn't go there because what if something does happen? And the other one is saying, no, we should go there because if we have faith in God, we just have to know that God's also there. He's going to protect us. And so I watched this debate going back and forth. It was such an incredible debate watching these two kids, 12 and 11-year-old, having the argument, hey, we should, we shouldn't. One is based on fear, one is based on faith. And then there is reason and logic, which is what? Preparation. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And in this case, my main thing is the following. A person like the President Trump, he's going to be in many, many different places where there's many, many opportunities to want to do something to him. He can't sit there and hide. He just can't sit there and hide. Would I rely purely on the Secret Service to protect him? I don't think so. But what else? I mean, you have to have pre-conversation with, like, New Orleans. Kennedy is from New Orleans, right? Kennedy's from Louisiana. What's his name? Senator Kennedy. Right. And they were asking about the fact on what happened in New Orleans. He says, we had a few screw-ups. We messed up. He said, I want to think that Biden came down here, but we screwed up a few different times. And he says, the thing is, we can't get Kristi Noem to be sworn in fast enough to get people here for help on Super Bowl. When is the Super Bowl, Rob? What's the date for Super Bowl?
February 10th, I want to say, like that weekend. February.
What is the exact date for Super Bowl?
I'll tell you exactly
is
right now.
February 9th,
Okay.
2025.
Okay, so, and it's in New Orleans, Louisiana. He's saying, we want this place to be safe. We need the administration to send us support. Right now, it's a little bit lackluster, but we cannot swear in. I don't know why they say Kristi Noem. What's Kristi Noem's job, by the way, that she's getting, Rob? What is Kristi Noem's job? They were specifically talking about Kristi.
It's not head of PETA, I'll tell you that much.
Homeland Security.
Okay, so that's why they sent Homeland Security. For sure, it's not PETA.
She's taking Mayorkas' job?
Right.
Is that what it is?
So, but the point
How
is,
do you not know that?
So the point is the fact they want protection. All in all I'm saying here is, I would highly encourage, and I'm sure they're already doing it, Trump's camps, one of the most brilliant camps they put together, being extremely proactive with the military to protect them, not waiting till he's in to speak to military to feel protected. I don't know. I'm always going to lean on having some PMCs to protect you that you trust. I would be putting a big budget together for private military contractors to come in and protect them for the inauguration that's coming up. Our merch team got a lot of requests of people saying, can we get some of these stickers and decals that you guys got so we can also put it on our iPads and different things? So they went to work and they got Zoom. Can you zoom in, Rob, into those stickers right there?
Decals.
So the decals, you got the Valuetainment logo, you got the allegedly, you got Only the Paranoid Survive, you got Future Looks Bright, you got the BizDoc, Words Talk, Number Scream, you got the PBD Podcast, Angry Patriot. Even Saucecast made it, an Unusual Suspect made it with the stickers. So how do you get it?
Nice.
Today, new hats that have been, some of the hats that are on the BOGO list now, you buy one, you get one free. These hats that we have, the ones that are on this list, Rob, if you can go down the black, the white, we added a few new ones to it as well. Any of these, you order one, you'll get one for free. And first 100, I believe it is, who place the order of buy one, get one free, you will get one of those stickers added to your, order as well. Go to vtmerch.com, order Future Looks Bright. Last year, we had over 120,000 individuals that bought Future Looks Bright gear. 120,000 pieces that were sold last year. What's interesting is just 3 years ago, I believe, the number was 600. And last year went to 120,000. We wanted 1 million people wearing the Future Looks Bright gear. Nowadays, when we go all over the place, we're seeing people, they're sending a bunch of different pictures. Kids reading Academy books, kids having the gear on. Ladies now wearing it. My wife finally getting some merch for the ladies as well out there. But place one of the orders, buy one, get one free. Get the stickers on your way, and then post them, laptops, iPads, whatever else you want to put it on. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.